Hello and welcome to the big picture. The quota agitation by the Patidars, more familiarly known as the Patels, has taken not just Gujarat but the entire country by surprise. The agitation, which began a few weeks back, has assumed violent dimensions now, and already 9 people have died. The leader of this agitation, Hardik Patel, a virtual non-entity till a few weeks back, is drawing huge crowds across the state. The Gujarat government has made it clear that it is in no mood to grant reservation to Patidars in employment and education. Many towns are under curfew and army and paramilitary forces have been put into action. The agitation seems to show no signs of ebbing in near future. What is this agitation all about? How did this powerful community, which constitutes almost 20% of Gujarat's population and also known to be economically and politically ahead of most other communities, get onto the streets? What are the fault lines which has created this situation? What will be the impact of this on the politics of Gujarat? Many questions needs a discussion and also answers. We will discuss all this today with Professor Jagdeep Chokkar, former Director, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and founder member of National Election Watch; Ajay, Gudavarthy, Assistant Professor, Center for Political Studies at JNU, whose latest book is on cultural politics of modern India; Anand, Vyas, Bureau Chief, Janambhoomi. On the phone line from Bangalore is Aakar, Patel, columnist and political analyst. And on the phone line from Ahmedabad is my colleague Vishal, Dahiya. Welcome to all of you. Aakar, Patel, I would like to come to you first. What is the intention behind this agitation?
Well, there are two main things. The first is an ancient grievance that the Patels have had. 30 years ago in 1985, when I was 15 years old, we had gone violent and agitated against reservations then, and we could see the Mandal movement then as well. And I think the Patidars felt, and this is a sense which is very strongly felt in the community, that they would be left out and that others would take some advantage which they would not get. So that's the first thing. I think this movement at the moment has echoes of that same anti-backward sentiment that the Patels have had as a group for a very long time. The other aspect, I think, is that the BJP is the party of the Patels, and they have a very large component of Patel legislators. And I think that the Patels feel entitled to the idea that
Chief Minister is a Patel.
That's right. So is the head of the BJP in the state, many of the legislators. And this has been the case for most of the time that the BJP has been in power. I think these two things tell the Patels that things have not really changed for them for a long time. And they believe that they are actually entitled to change the rules of the game and move to a system where discrimination based on caste is not the only means for reservation.
Okay, so you're saying that, this has actually roots sometime in the early 90s during the Mandal agitation, and this has been sort of festering all this time?
Well, even before that, I think we had something called the Bakshi Punch, which was implemented in Gujarat before the Mandal Commission, and the Patels felt threatened by that because their great rivalry was with the Kshatriya caste, to which Shankar C. Waghela belongs. And this is the great political divide. At the moment, the Kshatriyas tend to be with the Congress, Madhav C. Solanki and his son Bharat C. Solanki, whereas the Patels tend to be with the BJP. So it should be also seen as a caste divide, which has manifested itself into this sort of politics.
Okay. Stay on, Aakar. I'll come back to you. We have my colleague Vishal, Dahiya, right on the ground there in Ahmedabad. Vishal, what is the situation there?
Well, Girish, as far as the security situation and the law and order situation is concerned, then that seems to be improving with each passing moment. The 9 police stations which were put under curfew yesterday were also under curfew orders today as well. But then by the time it was second half of the day, there was free movement of people and vehicles which was being witnessed in those areas. A clear indication that the administration, local administration as well as police authorities for trying to, instill that confidence amongst the local people out there that everything is safe. You can move out, venture out, go on, carry on with your work. But officially, the curfew is yet to be lifted in those areas of Ahmedabad. Though we are being told that in Surat district there were two police station areas in which the curfew orders were in place. But that was lifted today in the first half of the day, and life, as per the police authorities and local administration, is back to normal in areas in and around Surat. But that's not the scenario in areas like Mehsana, Girish. There, some areas are still under curfew, tension still prevails, and that's one of the Patel-dominated areas as well. So the administration is taking utmost care, especially in those areas.
Vishal, have you been able to speak to some of the agitators, some of the leaders of this agitating, groups? What do they say?
Well, Girish, in fact, just half an hour ago, I had finished doing an interview with the leader of this entire agitation, Hardik Patel, and it was a freewheeling conversation for almost around 10-15 minutes, in which he seemed to be very clear about two things. That is, what is it that they want, and how the police action has been brutal. It has been termed atrocious by these members of this community who have been agitating. But when it comes to the question of what now, as in what is going to be the way forward from here onwards for the Patel community, specifically for those who are involved in these agitations, who were part of that group in and around this 22-year-old boy, Hardik Patel. That is one question which seem to be rattling these leaders of this agitation, specifically Hardik Patel. They do not have a specific answer. They say that we are willing to have a dialogue, but then just yesterday they were insisting that the Chief Minister should come onto the stage, get their representation from Hardik Patel, and then they will move ahead with the talks. Now they are insisting on action against police officers, compensation to those who have been injured or killed, and then they will try and find a move ahead for this movement. But it's a sort of a dead-end kind of situation for them, or maybe a catch-22, where they are yet to take a final call as to what to do now.
Vishal, are they clear about their demands? Are they clear that now that those demands which they have been placing before the people and the government, they are not going to dilute that?
Well, that's what, as far as demand is concerned, also there are two statements which are coming in. In fact, let me tell you also out here that there is a sort of, sound of discord between the two specific people who have been leading this agitation. One of them is Hardik Patel, who is now the face of this entire agitation. Another name is Mr. Lalji Patel. Now, Lalji Patel is a senior person. He's a guy who was heading the Sardar Patel Group for quite a few years now, a sort of non-profit trust which had tried to gather around all these people under the name of Patidar Andolan Samiti, the official name under which this entire agitation has moved on. But now at this particular stage, this person, Lalji Patel, seemed to be dissociating himself from the way, Hardik Patel and his group has been moving on with this entire game plan. His point is that time was right yesterday for the Patel community and its leaders to reach out to the government, to talk to them, to have a dialogue, and not have a confrontational attitude. And it seems, it has now come to that stage wherein the Lalji Patel camp is passing the buck towards Hardik Patel camp as to what exactly has gone wrong with the agitation.
Okay.
As far as Hardik Patel is concerned, he himself is pretty sure about the fact, and he's been repeating it time and again, that they will not back down from their demand of reservation for the Patel community within that specified 27% quota.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Vishal. Thanks for all that. You keep keeping a watch on the situation. Dr. Chokkar, coming to you, you heard what the ground situation is there. Let us look at the larger picture. How did this young boy emerge as the voice of this community? Was he somebody who was waiting to be discovered, and why this happened?
You see, I look at this whole situation, if you look at the broader and deeper issues, it seems to be a case of a disconnect between the politicians and elected representatives and the people. This phenomenon has happened within the Patidar community itself. As Aakar Patel said, this is a very dominant community. A large number of elected legislators or MLAs belong to the community. The chief minister, the head of the party in the state are from this community. But the so-called elected people or so-called representatives of the people have lost touch with the people. And the leadership of the Patidar community seems to be in the hands of people who have been around for a long time. They are kind of comfortable in their positions of power, and the disconnect that we see amongst the leaders or the so-called leaders and the people has taken the shape within the Patidar community. The other phenomenon perhaps is that the kind of development model, if I may say, which focuses more and more on large businesses and large industry, seems to have disenchanted large numbers of the Patidar community who were investing their agricultural surplus into small and medium scale enterprises. If the industrial development or economic development of a state or of the country is to be led by large scale industrial houses and business houses, then a huge number of small and medium enterprises suffer. There's a situation like the Walmart in the US. There's a Walmart in every single little town, and therefore the local grocers is out of business. So it is possible that that also has had a role to play. But if I go back to Aakar Patel's first point that the Patidars have always voted for BJP, actually if you go a little back in time, the Patidars used to vote for the Congress.
Right.
It is only after the so-called Kham of Shankar Singh Baghela and Madhav Singh Solanki that the Patidar shifted to BJP. Madhav Singh Solanki.
Yeah.
You see, Patidars were earlier Congress supporters. When the OBC became more prominent in the Congress and the SCs and STs became more prominent, they shifted to BJP. So the Patidars as a powerful group look after their own interest. I don't think they have deep or permanent loyalties to either party or either philosophy.
Okay.
They will do what is good for them.
Okay.
On the whole, it seems that this might well be an agitation against the entire concept of caste-based reservation.
That is exactly the point which I wanted to come to.
That is what has the potential of spreading in the country.
Okay. Anand, you know, it's very interesting what all three of them said. I want you to tell us that is there a political underpinning to this movement? Or, you know, the Hardik Patel says that they are not politically affiliated to anybody, but do you see a political underpinning to this movement?
You see, first we'll go back to 1974. Gujarat has been a land of agitations. Way back in 1974, we had Nirman Andolan originating from Gujarat.
Yes.
Against, it was also a political movement.
Yes.
Morarji Desai then went on a fast...
It became a political movement. It
later on
off,
became.
Yes.
And then the center was compelled to go for the polls. 1981, there was Bakshi Commission report which was implemented by Madhav Singh Solanki for approving the reservations for the socially and economically backward.
Right.
At that time too, there were riots on a large scale in Gujarat, resulting in large number of casualties also. But still 1985, Madhav Singh revived the theory of kham factors.
Right.
Kshatriyas, Harijans, Adivasis and Muslims, and he scored a record 149 out of 182.
Right.
92. Now coming to we must analyze Hardik Patel's speech basically. He knows what he is doing. He knows it.
You think he knows?
He according to what he has said. First and foremost thing, he has addressed the huge massive crowd in Hindi. So the message should spread across the nation what he speaks.
It is not just a Gujarat.
He should, if it was Gujarat centric, he would have addressed them in Gujarati also. But he preferred to address them only in Hindi. So the message...
This was in Ahmedabad day before.
Yes, it was in Ahmedabad. You see, then the first veiled threat which he has given, that give us the reservations under OBC, or Kamal won't bloom in Gujarat
Yes.
in the 2017. So this is a direct threat. Give us the OBC status and we do. Another aspect to his speech was that he categorically stated in his speech that we know that 50% cap is on the reservation by the apex court. Okay. But he argues further. He says that if Supreme Court doors can be opened at 3:30 in the morning, then why not for the future
So, no,
of the...
that's all. His speech is fine, we have heard it. But my question is, does he have political backing?
You see, so far, we don't see any much signals on the political backing. But this rally has incidentally happened on the day when Delhi Chief Minister Kejriwal met Prime Minister also for the betterment of the central state ties. Another thing.
Now, how is that connected?
I don't see any much of connection. It's only a coincidence.
Okay. But as of now, you don't see any political backing to this movement.
At present, I don't see. But certain photos also went viral in which Kejriwal's motor car is being driven by Hardik Patel. And so far, the denial from the Hardik Patel has not come so far.
Oh, that's interesting.
So far, the denial has not come so far.
Okay.
After even 24 hours.
Okay, that's very interesting. No, Ajay, looking at the larger issue, these kind of movements, where does it lead to, and how does it happen? What is the underpinning? Here is a community which is considered socially forward. It's not considered socially backward. It's not considered economically backward. And they're asking for reservations, which is obviously based on social and economic backwardness. So how do you explain this?
No, there are a couple of, as you said, broader reasons for this. One is the entire agrarian crisis that we are facing. That these have been agriculturally dominant communities.
Right.
And this is happening across country.
Right.
Jats in North India,
Even Marathas in Maharashtra.
in Maharashtra, Lingayats in Karnataka state you come
Right.
from, Kapus in Andhra Pradesh, and Gujars in Rajasthan who want ST status. So this is a panorama. It's an across spectrum. You have now agrarian dominant landed castes which want to shift to become part of the process of urbanization and shift to formal modern economy and want to shift into governmental jobs. This is the reason. This is the context in which all these movements are happening. So that's the first part of the story that one needs to think as to why these communities are now looking for backward caste status. Obviously, these are very economical and politically powerful communities. The way they have put state, brought to standstill, any other community would have condemned them as a violence.
Yes.
Because it's Patels. We are discussing that, how fair they are. That generally the media has been sympathetic in the way they have reported. But any other community would have brought. There's one flip side to it, the other side to it, which perhaps, this is a negative part of the story, that how the landed communities want to remain and maintain their proximity to state power by getting into formal, state sector, into bureaucracy through jobs and higher education. The other side could be, which can be interesting for us to discuss, which generally is missed in this entire debate, is that what does it do to the debate on reservations itself in India?
Exactly.
These have been communities which have stigmatized reservations.
Which have been opposed to reservations.
Which have been opposed to reservations, which have stigmatized Mandal Commission in 1990s. These are the communities which are today demanding reservations.
Right.
Now, I think the only positive element of the movement could be that we are moving into an era where we would destigmatize the entire debate on reservation. In that sense, more vulnerable communities like the Dalits, STS, would benefit, because in a public arena, reservations have terribly stigmatized large number of communities.
So you think this will get destigmatized now?
This, I think, dominant communities claiming, while it is, as you said...
But it can also work the other way.
That it can actually help Dalits in terms of destigmatization, because now upper caste, the hypocrisy of upper caste is exposed. Those who have opposed reservation are becoming part. Second, I think once these communities also get the tag of being reserved, I think the entire... If they get, because I know Supreme Court has struck down Jat's reservation.
Yes.
But even, I think this very debate, I think partly exposes the upper caste hypocrisy and leads to, I think, the only positive light I can see in this would be that the Dalit communities would benefit, and maybe we can revisit the debate of whether Muslims also need reservations.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's a very interesting political scientist point of view which you have given. Aakar Patel, that's a very interesting position which Ajay has taken. But I want you to this, 2-3 things which different people have spoken here. I want you to address. The one is the development model which is being spoken about, which Jagdeep Chokkar also said, and this has actually, is this an anti-reservation stir?
Well, there are many good things about the Gujarat model, but the model is unique in the sense that Gujarat is the only major state in India whose GDP mix is skewed towards manufacturing. So it's manufacturing on top, services below. Agriculture number 3. Most big states have services on top. Now, what has happened is social mobility hasn't come as much as it has in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. I had to leave Surat at the age of 24 because there was no white-collar job for somebody who could speak the language. English is not at a premium because it's a mercantile society which can get by with its own language, Gujarati. And so the social mobility that, for instance, domestic workers' children have in a place like Bombay or in Hyderabad or in Bangalore is not actually available to somebody in Surat. And a lot of the anger should be seen as this lack of social mobility. Your second question, I can't quite remember what it was.
But this is about the, is this actually an anti-reservation stir?
It is. This is part of the atavistic anger of the Patel against that. The language that the Patels have used in Ahmedabad is so vicious and so nasty against the lower castes. And it is true that to some extent this might become destigmatized, but the old attitudes which are held on the basis of caste and its hierarchy still remain, I'm very sorry to say, and I don't think that they will change.
Okay. Professor Chokkar, how do you see this? This disconnect, this disconnect, and Ajay Gudavarthy's theory is a very interesting theory.
Well, I have 3 quick observations to make. Number 1, to respond to your question whether there is politics behind it.
Yes.
There is no politics behind it, or there does not appear to be any politics behind it in terms of the
sir, sorry.
political
Politics,
formations.
of course, is there, but no political parties you say are behind this.
As of now, it does not appear that it is being guided by any political party. But this movement certainly has a lot of political power. In which direction does that political power go has still to play out, number 1. Number 2, 30 years ago when I went to Gujarat, I was struck to see hoardings in railway stations which said, "Naukri chodo, dhanda karo."
Right.
Gujarat was a state where people looked down upon jobs.
Right.
They preferred doing their own business, whatever it might be. Today, the situation seems to have changed.
Absolutely.
And to me, this change where people are looking for reservations for jobs is a manifestation of the way the business climate and environment in the state has changed.
Okay.
Number 3, you were asking about whether it is anti-reservation.
Right.
I would feel that after 60 plus years of reservations, the caste-based reservations seems to have run their course. It is perhaps time for the country to move towards true economic-based reservations rather than caste-based reservations. And what was being said that this will lead to a destigmatization of reservation, I think it will result in a wholesale change in the concept of reservations. Reservations will not be for backward classes, backward communities, and so on and so forth. Reservations will be for the economically deprived.
Okay.
A Brahman who's running a cycle rickshaw in Mumbai is also backward.
The social...
A Kshatriya, a Rajput, there is a Rajput Brahmin Arakshan Sangh in Rajasthan. Rajputs and Brahmins in Rajasthan by no means are traditionally backward societies, but they are suffering economic deprivation.
Absolutely.
Similarly, it is possible that Patels in Gujarat are suffering economic deprivation.
Okay.
Can I just come in
yes,
here, Girish?
in fact, from what he's saying, which means that the social backwardness will no more matter or should not matter from what these arguments are. But Is that something which is sustainable?
No, this is exactly the point. Is that upper caste in India for a long time argued the reservation should be on economic grounds and not on caste grounds. There are two aspects to it. One, we should understand that economic power is linked to caste in India. One. Second, in the right to education bill, 25% seats were reserved in all corporate schools and colleges for on economically deprived, and no corporate school is implementing that. Which is to say that upper caste actually don't believe in parting any of their benefits to deprived communities. So having simply economic criteria, I don't think will transcend caste. Caste is linked to economic power. Patels today are able
And
to
also
demonstrate.
the social situation is linked.
Absolutely. Patels today are able to demonstrate this way because of their caste. I don't see how this is an anti-caste movement. It is furthering caste benefits, and they are talking of benefits being restored to on a caste basis.
Absolutely. I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Anand. Let me get Aakar in this. Aakar, how do you react to what Ajay says?
Hello?
Yes, Aakar.
Sorry, I could not hear your question.
No, I said you must have heard what Ajay Gudavarthy says. And what Jagdeep Chokkar said. That this is leading somewhat to some kind of a situation where the reservation will have to be only on the basis of the economic backwardness, and social backwardness should not matter. Is this where this kind of an agitation is going to lead to across the country?
It has in many parts, and we saw this during Mandal as well, that Goswami, the boy who tried to burn himself, that was part of the middle class reaction towards what it thought was denial of their own rights. But I hope that there is some more sense in this, that there is a basis to reservation in discrimination and not just in poverty. And the recognition by the constitutional founders that there were communities that had been discriminated against for millennia,
right,
and denied access. Those were the ones that needed to be protected. I think it will be very disturbing if this is used to start a nationwide movement, either in favor of the landed peasant castes, or if there is a very strong negative reaction from the extant OBC groups, which will use this as an excuse to mobilize. For instance, in Bihar, which is going to the polls,
right,
this could well become a very big issue and a very violent issue.
Absolutely.
The Yadavs, who took power 20 years ago on the basis of Mandal, will again mobilize people on the basis of caste.
Right. Okay. Anand, so, why?
Yeah. You see, adding to what Mr. Aakar Patel has said, he's correct that the movement is spreading. You see, if we go what Hardik Patel said, that here by raking up the Patel community is basically a farmers community. He has raked up the reservation issue for them, not only limiting to Gujarat, 1 crore 80 lakhs Patel, not only for that, but across the nation. He has named even Nitish Kumar.
Exactly.
And even he has named Chandrababu Naidu.
Absolutely.
And he says that we have a representation of 170 seats in the Lok Sabha.
Absolutely. Anand, we have completely run out of time, but this is a debate which will need further discussions. But been discussed today itself has given a lot of food for thought for further discussions. But what is going to happen in Gujarat, and whether it's going to it's going to spread to other parts, we'll have to wait and watch. But this has been these are interesting times, but hopefully not. The violence which has been witnessed in Gujarat will end, and a more peaceful movement, if it has to be there, will be there. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time tomorrow.